So here are 5 winning skills that my clients gained that they helped them becoming securely attached faster than they even thought is possible. Welcome to episode 100 of the Anxious to Secure podcast. My name is Yula. I've created an earned secure attachment style. I used to be for 30 plus years anxiously attached. I'm going to give you the secrets, the skills you want to become securely attached fast. So let's go. Disclaimer, I'm not a therapist or doctor. This content is for informational and entertainment purposes only. It's not intended to diagnose, treat, or heal any mental health condition. If you're in an abusive relationship or dealing with severe mental health challenges, always seek professional advice. Skill number 1, self-awareness like a boss, but not just hyper-vigilance. So noticing your anxiety is not enough. There's a huge difference between hypervigilance, like obsessively watching your partner's every move, overanalyzing every text, tone, refreshing maybe your social media 37 times, checking if they have watched your stories, if they're actually supporting your business journey maybe. Spinning in your head about what does this mean for us, and real self-awareness that comes from curiosity, noticing your feelings and taking then, yes, aligned actions like processing them, reflecting on them, going inwards and applying then the tools to actually shift your reactions instead of just thinking about them endlessly and thinking only about the worst case scenarios. So the clients made the biggest transformation in their attachment journey. They didn't just binge watch the podcast and read all of the self-help books or joined programs online halfway through or just watched it and continued like as if it was like a Netflix program. They actually also got curious. They paused in between instead of just rushing through the entire thing, then reflected on themselves and journal in between. They only asked themselves, what just happened here that I felt this way after they got triggered? They asked maybe, is this based on effect or is this just based on my fear, on my story, on the meaning I give to the situation when my partner is a bit quiet or distant or hasn't said 3 times I love you in a span of, 6 hours or 2 days? Where have I abandoned myself at this point, this week, this month, or this year, the last 30 years? Where do I actually have part to grow, and where am I just pointing fingers at my partner? What do I actually want? And what am I projecting onto them? Because when you point a finger at someone, like there's so many fingers pointing back at you. So they're reflected back on them, but not blaming themselves. And then they acted based on these thoughts. So it's not just theory. They're not just staying in their head, which is very typical if you're an overthinker, if you're very perfectionistic, maybe just journaling. Maybe now you've been pausing. Now you're tracking your triggers as well and your patterns, what some of my clients do as well, right? They're tracking actually, okay, when am I really getting anxious? And in which kind of scenarios? Is it always when my partner pulls away, when I'm already feeling anxious, and when there's already so much stuff going on in our life overall? Because if you go to a doctor, you have migraines, they might ask us, fill in your diary like a tracker to find out when do you have migraines. Is it after you eat dark chocolate? Is it after you have, red wine or white wine? Or after you didn't have much sleep? So you want to track your triggers and the symptoms so you find out more about the cause. And the same can be true if you have an anxious attachment style and you want to become secure. Just one example. Or are you doing shadow work, like uncovering old wounds and unmet needs that showed up also in your previous relationships, and you realize everything you're attracting, all of the people, the relationships, the previous partner, everything is a mirror back into your own world. Your fears and unhealed emotions, avoided memories, everything points back to you in the end. Okay, let's paint you a little picture. You're sitting on the couch and it's Saturday night, okay? Like, let's say he is watching the game, okay? The game. or I don't know, whenever that is, Saturday in the afternoon, I guess. And you just had a mini panic because he hasn't texted back in 20 minutes. You're not living together, by the way. He's living somewhere else, or, you're still in the kind of more early stages of a relationship. But your mind, of course, starting to panic. Did I say something wrong? Like, am I not interesting enough that he would prioritize me over a silly game? Am I boring? Is he bored about us? Am I not interesting enough, funny enough, pretty enough? Is this relationship over already before it has properly begun? You already imagine the breakup and how he's going to leave you or cheat on you eventually and never prioritize you. And, this is like a common hyper-vigilant at its like peak. But instead, you just stop and notice what's going on, what you're doing to yourself, that you are creating your anxiety because of your thoughts. Your thoughts create your anxiety. So what I want to say is like, you stop, you pause, and you just breathe. Maybe now you just journal. I notice I feel anxious because I'm afraid of being unseen, not a priority. This isn't about him. It's about my old fear of not being chosen. That's it, okay? And you just breathe and you allow yourself to be with the emotions, with the sensations, and realize it's less about him and more about your past and your wounds and your feelings. This is just one small tool. And you use the tool you've been practicing. You breathe, you do breathing exercises, you ground yourself in the moment right now versus over the possible negative future scenarios that are not even going to happen. And maybe a 5-minute check-in with yourself about what you actually want tonight for yourself instead of what he's doing, right? He's busy with himself. So maybe you want to be busy as well with yourself instead of just pouring all your energy into him. You interrupt basically the overthinking loop. Then you take aligned actions. Put on a comfortable hoodie or even a sexy dress, whatever you feel like, right? Pour a glass of wine, dive into the show you've been craving for, or you call your girls. I don't know about you, but I live in this small little Italian town here in Sicily on an island where I haven't got these connections yet. So for me, I'll be having an amazing night in either doing something crafty, artsy, or just watching my favorite show, Singles Inferno or something like this, right? Because my partner wouldn't want to watch it with me. So this is the perfect opportunity to just do something with you, for you, without any distractions, without a man next to you, I don't know, farting around, giving you the eyes and dumping down your mood. This is for you, okay? You can have a good time by yourself. But if you have an anxious attachment style, you don't think of this way, right? You only think about him. You think, okay, there's danger here if he doesn't give you all of his energy, but it's not about him. This is your life. Don't put him above everything else. Be your own best friend and your comfort first, and not just prioritizing your partner and putting them as a main source of security, as comfort, as entertainment, as best friend, because you are all of this first. They come second. And the next day, instead of wondering why nothing has changed after doing all of these things, you reflect. This shift only works when you then consistently apply the steps you learn from journaling to shadow work to emotional regulation and sitting with your feelings. Not just binge watching content, right? Not just pouring in a glass of wine or 2 or 3. It works when you show up for yourself by doing the inner work, by sitting down, allow your emotions to be there instead of avoiding them, suppressing them, going through social media or binge watching TV shows. So here's why, the old way didn't work. And why it really, before, my anxious clients would overthink and stay in this downward spiral loop, consume content, overthink, and then do nothing. But they taught themselves that through overthinking and fixating on him, on the partner or her, that the partner is the problem, that the relationship right now is at risk, that you have to prioritize them, otherwise you're in danger, there's something wrong, and you keep up the anxiety. You teach your nervous system you are not safe. So by getting curious, by allowing yourself to feel the emotion through journaling and sitting there, not reacting, by refocusing on you again, you are teaching your nervous system that you are already safe, that they are not your savior. That is real reflection. That is not hyper-vigilance. And skill number 2, my clients who became securely attached fast, is they have learned to stop fighting their feelings. And we touched on this already before, but I'm going to go into more depth now. My clients, they gave themselves permission to feel. Instead of bottling up emotions, numbing it out, like, just social media, alcohol, going crazy on shopping tours, and not thinking about it, they leaned into practices like sitting with your emotions, allowing yourself to do like a body scan, to breathe into it, to welcome the sensations like an old friend, no matter if it's anxiety, anger, sadness, depression, anything you feel. They realize that it's just energy in motion. So maybe they learned, to do breath work regularly, or just simple breathing exercises for their nervous system. They maybe did like a shaking out every now and then. Every time when you get up and when you move, you just shake your body and release the tension, release the energy. Or when you feel that there's, some stuck emotions inside your throat, instead of screaming at your partner, you scream into a pillow and you release it that way. Or whenever you're fixated on your partner and you're ruminating, you just change the environment, go outside for a 5-minute walk, and that can release so much by just breathing and regulating your nervous system. And you could also name the feeling, I feel rejected because I'm scared of losing this connection. By naming it out loud, you're already releasing parts of it and you're feeling so much better instead of just resisting it and think, oh, it's bad, I shouldn't feel this. And this shifted them from feeling overwhelmed to release every time they did this, through micro moments, through like a ritual, a daily ritual, or in the moment when they felt the anxiety coming over, or the sadness, or the frustration. And they felt a little bit lighter every time they did it and allowed the emotion to be there. Often we don't allow ourselves to feel the emotions because either we think they completely take over us, right? We either cry for hours, or we can't handle it, or it feels too painful, or we're coming across as the dramatic one or the needy one. But in fact, feeling the emotion is different than acting it out. You can feel the emotion instead of shouting at your partner or snapping or going crazy, bad shit in a restaurant, right? It's completely different. Feeling emotion, nobody would know right now if I would feel it and allow it and let it be there. You wouldn't even notice the difference if I'm allowing myself to feel anger versus if I'm happy. That is completely different. However, I can, show it and express it in my facial expression, in the way I release it. However, just alone sitting there and allowing the emotions, you can do this in your car, in the restaurant, when you're at work. You don't have to act out the emotion. You don't have to scream and tighten up your fists and get all worked up, because that's the moment actually when you avoid the emotion. When you welcome it like a friend, it's like, hey, you know what? Anxiety, come in. I hear you. I know you just want to be seen and felt and loved. That's okay. However, the moment you say, anxiety, you are bad, you shouldn't be here, I know you want to harm me, then anxiety takes over and you explode, or you hold it back, and eventually you're going to snap. That's the power of allowing yourself to feel it. And that's a skill. It takes time. Even when I'm with my clients, sometimes it takes a couple of weeks to learn it better, but every messy way to allow yourself to feel it and process it, it gets better. And there's no perfect way. It took me time as well to actually learn it. And I have a simple 3-step 90-second formula, and I have a YouTube video as well on that if you want to practice it. But it's extremely, extremely powerful. And if you want to become securely attached, you need to learn a skill. It's literally feel it to heal it. It's going to help in all areas of your life. And when my clients allowed themselves really to feel without judgment or fear, they stopped seeing the emotion as a problem. They don't have to fix it. There's no negative emotion. There's just uncomfortable and more comfortable emotions. And practicing it alone by just naming the feeling, building up like a bigger vocabulary for what is it exactly I'm feeling. Is it anger, or is it frustration, or am I upset, or I'm actually sad? Am I actually anxious, or am I just actually fearful of something? There's nuances to this, and the more you lean in and get curious and notice what am I actually feeling, the more you realize, okay, this is the root cause of the feeling. This is actually what my feeling wants me to do. Then you can give it easier what it needs. Let's say your partner is distracted at home. So picture this. You've had a rough day at work and you're looking forward to, of course, connecting with your partner. Because if you have an anxious attachment style, you mainly focus on co-regulation. So maybe at work, you don't have many people you can connect with and share and unload. So you're really looking forward to share that story with your partner, just to feel seen, feel validated, and feel heard. So you walk into the living room and just ready to share anything that happened at work, maybe to unload, or maybe even to share something excited that happened at work, right? You want to be him to be your best friend and to be your hype buddy. And he's at the kitchen. You enter. And then you walk in as well, and then you start talking. You're super excited or very upset about work, either or, doesn't matter. And he nods, doesn't look up, and your chest is like tightening and your stomach flips and you feel so invisible. Your brain starts racing like a million miles an hour and you're like, for fuck's sake. Like, really? You had so many hopes, expectations of, sharing the story or needing validation, whatever it was. And then this reaction, he doesn't even look up. He doesn't really care. Like, are you so boring? Who are you to him? You feel so invisible. You're asking yourself, did I say something that is so boring? Why wouldn't he care more? An anxious attachment would you either snap at the situations like, oh, you never listen, you never care about me, and like criticize the partner and confront him at the moment. Or the other part of anxious attachment is you like walk on eggshells and you're like, oh, stuff down your feelings, you don't say anything. You walk out feeling so upset about this. But now what my clients learned over this process is like, you put yourself first and your feelings first. Remove yourself from the situation in the kitchen and from him, and you focus on you. You breathe deeply and you say out loud to yourself in the living room, let's say, where he isn't. You say, I feel unseen right now. I feel unseen. Put a hand on your heart and say, I'm craving attention, connection, and that's okay. That's valid. My feelings are always valid. And I notice it and I am enough. You just allow yourself to be with the emotion. You don't have to overanalyze it or think into anything right now. You just want to be there for yourself. This isn't swallowing your feelings or pretending they don't matter or excusing your partner. It's about owning your emotions first, regulating yourself first, and then later deciding, do I want to share this? How do I share it calmly that they can actually hear me? Sometimes by the time you've processed your feelings, you notice, you know what? He was actually listening all along, even if it didn't feel like it, even if it wasn't the exact response I was hoping for. And if he wasn't, you can then address it from a way of, hey, you know what? I was actually hoping you would listen a little bit more or ask me more questions or would be a little bit more interested because I was actually excited or I was very upset about something and I just wanted to be seen. And when you regulate yourself first, you can also see things more clearly instead of only seeing the worst case scenarios. Then you might realize maybe when you come home from work and before you unload or say something very exciting, you might ask your partner, hey, do you have a minute? I want to share with you something very exciting. Or, hey, I have something on my mind. Do you have a minute to listen? Just to check in, just to ask, hey, can I vent on you, or can I ask for advice, to know, is this the right moment for him to give me their attention? And that can change everything as well. That is something my clients have learned, because often anxious attachment has a bigger need to unload, to share, to communicate. That's why we text longer paragraphs and all of these things. But often they have a different capacity for taking in emotion, information. So you want to address and take accountabilities like, hey, are you ready to receive right now? That's it. And you might sit nearby doing your own thing then afterwards and letting the tension release naturally. And maybe now you could also journal on the experience afterwards and like saying, you know what, I'm noticing what triggered me and why. And it made sense. And you just want to be there for your own emotions and just get curious why it felt so triggering when your partner showed up with a different response than you hoped for. And you just take a deep breath in and reassuring yourself. Yeah. And by practicing this, you stop letting your anxious thoughts hijack your interactions. You process your emotions and regulate yourself, and then approach the relationship in a grounded, secure way. And skill number 3, fulfilling your own needs first. My clients, they turn really inwards and realize I have to give myself the things first, and then I can go out there and ask for things, because then it's not a necessity, it's more like a bonus. Then I can ask myself, what do I need right now? And then how can I give this to myself? Let's say you want reassurance from your partner and you keep asking, and your partner is very bad at reassurance. You will never feel satisfied. But if you learn over time to reassure yourself, be there for yourself, the tank of reassurance gets filled up, your security gets filled up. And then if you ask your partner, hey, babe, can you reassure me here, there? And they don't meet you 100%, they don't know how to reassure you, or they say the wrong things, then you don't snap, then you don't take it personal, because you are already feeling secure within yourself. Let's say, I don't know, golf at 9 o'clock, a quick stop at the hardware store, and then maybe beers with the guys. I don't know if that's your guy, or fishing or baseball or whatever. And maybe you've tried hard with Johnny, let's call him Johnny, to schedule around it, hoping Johnny would make time for you, especially because it's weekend, right? After a work week, you want to spend quality time with Johnny. But today you decided something different. You pause and ask yourself, what do I want to do this weekend? Not what he's doing. What do I actually want to do? You then realize what you want after you journaled or went inwards and said, you know what? Maybe I just want some movement, some fresh air. So you grab your sneakers and you head to a local hiking trail. Or you thought, you know what? Maybe I fancy a little latte, some pastry in your favorite coffee place, Starbucks, whatever. Unfortunately, I don't have Starbucks here anymore since I moved from London to Italy. I really miss it. However, there's lots of other places here. Unfortunately, in Italy, you can't really sit in a cafe. It's not cute. It's not nice. However, I can't complain, right? There's so many other amazing things here. Or maybe you have some fun and laughter. So you want to text a friend to go for like a spontaneous brunch together. Or you just hang out by yourself, go rollerblading, skateboarding, go for a run, something just for you. So you put on your cutest outfit, the one that makes you feel like $1,000,000, and blast your favorite playlist in the car, Cigarette After Sex, Taylor Swift, whatever it is, and you fully commit to showing up for yourself. You are the main character in your life. You will be there when you die, and you were there the day you were born. You are there for every single birthday and for every single Christmases. So treat yourself like the most important person in your life. If Johnny wants to go golfing or fishing or go with his mate into a pub, Let him go. Who cares? It's important what you want to do. Let him retreat into his man cave. If he has a moody day, let him. At the hike, then you notice yourself where your mood, drops a little bit. You see this amazing view. I think, I wish I could share this with someone. I wish Johnny would be here. And you know what? You're stepping yourself out of this. You're going to tell yourself, you're going to take a picture and you're just going to breathe. And you realize you are on this freaking planet. This is amazing. And it's okay to miss someone, to want to share moments with. You don't have to pretend or act unbothered, and you can snap some pictures. You can share it with him later if he asks, and you can share it with friends. You can call it to your mom and tell her all about it. You can tell her how, you put yourself first, even though, you would love to go with Richard, but this was really hard for you. And you will feel a shift later on. When you come home, you realize you put yourself first. It was hard, but you survived it. And every time you realize you don't have to put other people first, you don't have to plan your entire world around Richard and orbit around him, you train your nervous system and your subconscious mind that you are the center of your world and that you matter, that he is not coming above you, that you're on the same level, and eventually you will come first. But you have to do this consistently through micro moments in everyday actions, in everyday situations. And then you can keep a track in your journal of everyday moments that kept you alive, or you proved to yourself you did it. And maybe it even feels good eventually. And then by the time he's done with his day, maybe you're still outside. Maybe you're not the one who's always home waiting for him already at the door to greet him. And he's like, hey, where are you at? And he's actually texting you first because you haven't updated him with all of your plans. What are you going to do? And he's actually surprised that you're going out by yourself. And that creates this excitement in your relationship again. And he realizes you're not just waiting around for him only. Because before you would lean too much on him for validation, reassurance, and emotional regulation. And then you will feel dependent on him for emotions, for everything else in your life. And that will build up frustration and resentment and adds pressure also for Richard, especially if he's avoidant attached, or for anyone eventually, even if they are securely attached. And that increases your anxiety and lowers your self-esteem. And just, you will become more and more a shell of yourself. And if you meet your own needs first, you shift the power back to yourself. Instead of thinking, I need him, so I feel enough, you practice affirming your worth through these self-care practices, through refocusing from him onto you. Solo activities, tiny wins, and your happiness no longer depends on his schedule or his attention. And over time, this makes you feel more secure, whether he's around, whether he prioritizes you or plan things with you first or not, because now you plan your week and your month first. And skill number 4 is taking space without worrying, obsessing, or overthinking. One of the reasons also my clients became much faster securely attached than others is because they've learned and really, really understood that space is so important for the relationships without overthinking, panic, and adding meaning into this. If you're anxiously attached, your first thought is when your partner steps a little bit back is usually they are losing interest. They are pulling away from me. When I was actually attached as well, this would get me into a very anxious place as well. I would be maybe overtaxing a little bit, sending very long, chunky paragraphs and trying to convince my partner to do something differently. Why is he quieter, pulling away from me? Why does he want to go on his solo travels and spend time with his friends by himself on his phone, on his things? And my clients were the same. But the clients who level up the fastest in the end, and that's why I became securely attached fast as well, is we reframe seeing space as something negative. to seeing it as a tool, as an opportunity, like to recharge, focus on yourself, to learn something about yourself, to really heal the fear of being abandoned, and to strengthen the inner security. Instead of seeing it as a threat, see it as an opportunity, because there needs to be space to miss each other. Let me give you a few different examples on how you can apply this and why it's important. So let's say before you even think about his schedule, before the next week, let's say it's Sunday evening, and you think about how the week is going to look like, you check in with yourself first. What excites me this week? Where can I prioritize myself and my energy this week? Maybe you plan a yoga maybe you plan a yoga class, a coffee with a friend, or you want to just stick to a daily jogging routine or like your gym routine or something that prioritizes you. You just plan your week first without thinking, okay, I schedule my week around him first. I ask him what his plans are. Don't text to see if he wants to join last minute, or keep white blank spaces to see what he's up to if he's going to ask you to do something with him. Don't judge him for having his own plans as well. Don't be resentful. And this works because by focusing on your own priorities first, you start your week grounded and independent. And again, you train your nervous system that you matter, and you show up in your relationship fully present, without anxiety and codependency. And if your life is full, you are much more energetic and magnetic entering this relationship. And they will see that. Your partner will see it, and they will come to you as well, and then prioritize you and then chase you. So another example is, let's say during conflict, how can we apply this here? You start to feel triggered in an argument, and instead of letting it take over and spiraling, you step into the next room and just breathe and journal a few lines after you've calmed down a little bit and process your emotions. What you don't want to do is you don't want to yell or throw a pillow or blame at your partner, or you don't want to force a situation, because often if you have an anxious attachment style, you want to figure it out right now. You don't want to sit with this. But even if it's just like half an hour pause, regulate yourself, and then come back to it later, can make a huge difference. This space physically and emotionally can make a huge difference in that moment. Instead of just saying, okay, you don't care about the conversation, you don't want to talk about me, when your partner's already triggered and shut down, you are triggered right now as well. You're flooded. So you don't want to be even more triggered by trying to fix it and force it while triggering your partner more. You both need time out here, because once you're flooded emotionally, you can't think clear, you're not empathetic to each other, and you can't be a team. And it's important if you want to resolve conflict. So stepping away gives you emotional regulation and clarity. Coming back later can then help you to respond from a secure place, from a grounded place, where you have empathy for your partner again and are able to see where your partner was also coming from, without anger, frustration, and being a little bit more unbothered as well. And your avoidant partner especially responds better when you don't raise your voice or use criticism, like you or never, things like this. And it creates a natural space for connection. Another example is there's distance in everyday moments, like say he's watching TV or scrolling on his phone or focusing on something else. Their space can be also very important for you, instead of just overthinking, like, what is going on? Why is he pulling away? He doesn't care about us. Why isn't he connecting with me? Why doesn't he want to spend more quality time with me? You interrupt the loop. You're going to detach and create space emotionally as well. And you notice the feeling. You're going to say to yourself, I feel unseen. I feel anxious. I fear that he will leave me. I crave connection. Focus on yourself. Go somewhere else. Do something else. You have to interrupt the thing, like cook dinner already, or prepare your favorite snack, or go for a quick 5-minute walk, shake off your body in the next room, start something creative, do some hobby activities in another room outside. I'm listening to a podcast, or start watching a funny clip or a video in the next room, do something funny, or have a bath. Treat yourself with like mini joys, your favorite coffee as well, or a new playlist that doesn't remind you of him. Don't try to convince him to spend time with you. Don't criticize him of like, oh, why are you on your phone again? You don't care about me, right? You're always so distracted. Don't nag or guilt trip him. Don't just sit there and be grumpy together. Don't judge or punish him silently through resentment, because you are the one who are feeling the resentment, not him. He's already doing his own thing. So you keep doing your own thing as well. And the more you creating a little bit distance as well, mentally, emotionally, physically, the more you teach your nervous system physical space, mental space, emotional space is not dangerous. It can actually be an opportunity afterwards to then actually come together. Because imagine this, you want to spend quality time with your partner, right? But most of the time you're spending so much time together in moments where it's not about quality time, where it's more about you are being grumpy, your partner is distant, or you want attention or you want affection. But it's all forced. It's all during moments of conflict, or one person is avoiding the other. So rather spend the time more consciously together. When you're not doing something actively or having a good time together, remove yourself from the situation, and then later come together and say, hey babe, do you want to watch a movie with me? Or just do you want to spend like 5 minutes over coffee with me, without phones, without distraction? This is much more valuable than trying to force an entire weekend together, where 95% of this is just passive connection, which is not really connection, right? And this creates the healthy attraction. People are naturally drawn to someone who has their own energy, their own joy, who's also able to spend their own time, their own energy on passion projects, on going outside, on doing projects, on work, on friends, on hobbies, on activities, and not just focusing, clinging onto this one person. The more you chase or punish or resent someone, the more, especially the avoidant partner, pulls away. When I chase our dog Maya, she runs away. But as soon as I stop and turn around and I walk, she chases me again. So it's just a natural instinct. Anything you chase runs away. So you want to be the one who's being chased by just, focusing on your own path. And the last skill, it's a little bit shorter, I'm going to go right to the point, is skill number 5, and that is consistency over perfection. A very important lesson for my anxious attachers, because we all have this very perfectionistic mindset. The clients who became really secure fast, they didn't just try to fix themselves in air quotes overnight. They showed up for themselves every day, even if it's very messy. For example, they release their emotions every day. They rewire the limiting beliefs of people will leave or they're not good enough. They filled their bucket and their cup every day themselves. So at least every week, focus on themselves first. And then they also did the shadow work on like realizing everything in the world you attract to yourself. So they realize when they're feeling triggered about something, that shows more about you than it shows about that person. And there's really 2 ways they did this consistently and in a messy way. Either in the moment they feel triggered, they were really applying these tools, and also they applied daily action steps in terms of the routine. Say every morning or every evening they did something to become more securely attached, especially like a breath work meditation session, let's say, or for example, they were like rewiring their limiting beliefs. Because some clients beforehand, they thought, one coaching call every 2 weeks or one big retreat is enough to create a big change. However, they waited until the night before the session then to cram everything into this perfect workout sheet, this I create, sometimes homework exercises or journaling prompts, and then I want to do everything perfectly. However, that's a little bit more performative instead of transformation. That's more like showing me, hey, I'm a good student, I've done this work for you, versus I want to do this for myself. I have a really strong reasons why I want to become less anxious, more calm, show up for my kids better, so they don't create an anxious attachment style, so they feel better and manage their emotions better as well. Or so you attract better men and or women into your life. And here as well, I want to say again, consistency really beats perfection. So even 5 minutes every day, even 1 minute every day beats like 1 hour every week or 2 hours every month, any time of the day, because it creates a habit in the end of the day. It shows to yourself that, hey, you will be there for yourself. You keep up what you said you would. It's like if you want to build more muscles or lose weight, if you said you want to go for a run every day, it doesn't matter how long the run is, as long as you put on your shoes and even go outside for a run for 2 minutes. Because eventually it's about the habit and then your identity shift versus of how long the run is, because eventually you will build up the capacity to be able to run for 10 minutes, half an hour, 1 hour, even no matter of how long it is. But it's the importance of, I have to put on my shoes, I have to get out of bed. That is the hardest part. It's true for becoming securely attached. So consistency, saying what you wanted to do and really sticking to it. And the same goes for everyday situations. The other day, I saw like a group of guys on the road, and immediately I had a reaction of, I want to cross the street. I want to avoid this guy group, because in my mind, I still had this linked to childhood memories of groups are not safe. Because in a split second, your brain always goes through everything you're surrounded by. Is this thing safe? Are you in a dangerous situation, or are you in a life-threatening situation? And in that situation, my brain decided, oh my God, we're in danger, because back, I don't know, in childhood, I was being bullied. And I think every woman can relate to being confronted with a group that it might be scary, or their fear of rejection can come up again. And my fear was immediately triggered. And I thought, you know what? I have a choice right now, crossing the road or walking straight, through them and facing my fears. So I said to myself, I have done so much work on myself. I can handle what they're going to say. I know I'm not in a dangerous situation. I know I'm overall safe. And I thought, I'm going to continue walking. My heartbeat was increasing the more I came closer to them. But guess what? I did it. And I felt so proud of myself afterwards. And these are these split seconds in your everyday life where you can train your nervous system that you're safe or not safe. You're reinforcing your old beliefs or your new beliefs. And that's exactly these kind of messy actions that I'm talking about every day in your life. And anyway, I think that's it for this episode. Also, I want to say is what they all had in common, clients who became securely attached, is they were all very coachable. Coachable means open to tools, methods, taking accountability for their actions in their anxious brain. So when I said something, when I pointed out blind spots, or when I said, you know what, this is not helpful, I would rather consider it in this way, or if you continue, this sabotaging behavior, can you see the consequences? They actually followed my advice, and not from a way of, just blindly following someone's advice. So I was a fan of, you need to learn to be your own coach. However, there's a difference between people who like, oh yeah, I'm going to follow a little bit of this advice and that advice, and we're going to stop for a couple of weeks, and I challenge you on this, and I don't even believe anything you say, and I doubt it, and I might listen, but I don't really apply it. So no, the clients who really became securely attached fast, they followed literally every single word I said, every step right away, and that gave them a huge success. And that's also why I became securely attached so fast within just the 6 months, because I followed every single step my mentor told me. I journal every day, the exact exercises they gave me for many times they told me to, and I didn't even question anything. Nowadays, we get so overwhelmed with all of the information. People say one thing, this person says another thing, and I didn't had all of this. I just followed one mentor, one coaching program, went all into, asked all of the questions as well. I got curious, but then I knew that if I continue my old way, that I would end up where I was before. So if you're now listening to all of this, first of all, thank you so much. And also, if you think like, okay, I want to finally feel secure within myself without chasing, without feeling not good enough or too much. I don't want to fear consistently people are leaving me or I'm not good enough and on edge and overthinking. I just want to feel calm and loved for who I am. Here's the truth. This isn't about your partner. It's much more about healing your old wounds, your abandonment wounds, your not enough wounds, your unworthiness wounds, and your wound of feeling like you're not capable of handling the emotion. I can't handle being alone or going through a breakup or leaving my partner or all of this. And this can be changed. If you want to work with me, get coached by me, you can grab any of my free resources to get onto my email list, like worksheets, downloads, quizzes. They're all in the attachment library linked below. So you can then get onto my email list, you can reply to any of my emails, and then we can get into contact. I do have coaching programs, like a monthly program through WhatsApp, so you can text back and forth or leave voice messages. I also have one-on-one coaching calls, either bi-weekly or more intense coaching calls. And I also have a 4 and an 8-month coaching container where we really go deep into this, where I help you to transform your anxious attachment style and help you to become securely attached. Like people who show up really consistently and feel their emotions, take aligned actions, and get guided support. They heal faster, they stop being hyper-vigilant and start feeling emotional safe and good enough from inside out. And your partner can't fix this for you. Your past can't rewire itself, but you can. And if you take the right steps and do it with support, it's just much faster. So if you're ready to living on edge and finally feel safe within yourself and your relationships, take that first step and reach out today if you want to. Otherwise, I would love to get like a rating on Spotify, 5 stars, or thumbs up and a follow on YouTube, and a comment from you about what has been helping you so far. Thank you so much for being here. Remember, change in your relationship starts with you, thought by thought, action by action, and episode by episode. Lots of love, Yula. Bye.